Hello everyone. In the last two videos we discussed a lot about the networking basics. We discussed some of the gadgets that are used in the networking field. In this video we'll be discussing about the OSI model, which is basically the rules that are needed to follow in order for different devices that can be connected to the internet or that can be connected to a certain network to follow. This is basically the set of rules that devices that can be connected to a certain network or internet need to follow. So let's start. So let's discuss it by giving you a certain very easy example. Think of a situation, let's say for example we live in an era where there is no internet, no networks and nothing sort of, and let's say somebody in India designed a network, a computer network for devices to communicate with each other, and the people who designed that network in India, they designed it only within the rules of their own, or with using their own set of rules. Now, and let's say that there is another group of people somewhere in Netherlands, and let's say they decided to make a network using their own set of rules and algorithms. Now what happens is evolution took place, world became more advanced, and the India network now needs to communicate with the Netherlands network and vice versa. But that cannot happen because the people who designed the network in India designed it using their own set of rules and algorithms. Similarly, the person who designed it in the Netherlands, they designed it with their own set of rules and algorithms. Now obviously the two set of rules may not be the same, and that's why the two networks cannot communicate with each other. Now to solve this problem, the ISO, which is the International Standards Organization, they came up with a set of rules in 1984, which is basically known as the Open Systems Interconnection Reference Model, that is the OSI model. This model basically has all the rules needed for devices in a certain network to communicate with each other. Obviously, when you go to a school or college, you need to follow some rules over there. As long as you are within that college, as long as you are inside that college, you need to follow that rules. Similarly, whenever devices are connected to a certain network, if they want to communicate with devices connected to the network, they need to follow some terms. They need to follow some terms and conditions so that they can communicate with each other with ease. That's why this OSI reference model was made in 1984 by the International Standards Organization, so as to make it easier for two devices in a certain network or two or more devices in a certain network to communicate with each other easily. Now this OSI model is divided into different layers. Now when you will be learning or when you will be in the network troubleshooting phase, over there what happens is, let's say your device is connected and everything is okay, but you're still not being able to access the internet for some reason or the other. Now you cannot just simply open up your laptop or computer and just check for things inside that everything is okay or not. You need to do those troubleshooting work, which basically makes it easier for you to find where the problem lies. For example, you might be having problem in your network interface card. Maybe that's damaged, or maybe your ISP is not providing data connection, then many other things. There are many problems that might arise. The problem might lie anywhere. So this is divided into different sections, that is known as, these different sections are called layers, and it is basically a layered approach. And it starts with the physical layer. So physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, application. Now these layers are the layers of the OSI model, and there is another approach known as the TCP/IP model that has only 4 layers, which is pretty much easy to remember. But if you are into networking and if you are into CCNA or CompTIA Linux Plus, then OSI model is the one that you will need to learn. Without learning this, you cannot understand the TCP/IP model as well. So OSI model is very important for you to learn. In fact, I should have had uploaded this video at the first. I mean, the first video should have been this OSI model, but later on I decided that okay, let me make you all familiar with the devices that reside in a network and how they communicate with each other, so that whenever I'll go to explain the OSI model, things will become pretty easy for you to grasp. So starting with the physical layer consists of devices that you can touch. For example, repeaters, cables, etc. Now you might be wondering why does a router not reside in the physical layer? Because the router resides in the network layer, and if anything resides in a certain layer, let's say for example something resides in the transport layer, then that means that it resides in the transport layer as well as all the layers below that. By below I mean this way, I mean from 4 to 1, or let's say from 7 to 1. Below doesn't mean that the data link layer is below the physical layer. It is not like that. It is the physical layer which is below the data link layer. The data link layer is below the network layer. The network layer is below the transport layer, and the transport layer is below the session layer, and this way it goes on. Now there is a pretty easy mnemonic to remember this, and it can be, the mnemonic is, please do not throw sausage pizza away. Alright, so you can remember it like this. So I was discussing the physical layer. Physical layer consists of devices that you can touch. Data link layer, as the term suggests, is basically the data linking phase where two devices in a network are linked to each other. The network layer consists of the routers, as I said, and it basically deals with the routing of traffic. For example, it's not that in your house itself routers exist. Even ISPs, your internet service providers, also have routers in their in their stations or wherever they want to fix it. Then you have the transport layer. Transport layer is basically deals with the transportation of data, as the term suggests. Now session layer basically deals with maintaining session. For example, you are logged into Facebook. Now obviously if once you are logged into Facebook, you don't log out of your account unless and until you don't press the logout button. Alright, so that maintains a session. Whenever you are downloading a file, for example, and you see it downloading, it's not that your download breaks in the middle somewhere. If the download breaks, then basically what happens is that the session broke. Alright, sometimes you must have seen that you logged into a certain website, and after some time you came back to the website, and you must have seen a line saying session expired, please log in again. That is what session means. It means that you are logged in and it maintains a session, your login session. Now session doesn't only mean that it implies only to logins. It may imply to in many cases. Alright, now the second last layer is the presentation layer. The presentation layer basically deals with the presentation of data. For example, let's say there is an HTML page, and the HTML page, we see it in a very proper way, but obviously at the background there is the coding and all other stuff like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and so many things. We don't see the code, but we only see the beautiful HTML presentation. So the presentation layer basically deals with presenting the data or presenting the code in a human readable proper format. Like for example, you are seeing this presentation. Obviously now here you can see some gear icons, here you can see the writing and all this stuff. Now computers don't understand all these things. We humans might understand, but computers don't understand. Whatever is running at the background is obviously the coding stuff. Now obviously if you open up the coding, your mind will, it will burst obviously. So you obviously need to see things in a proper manner so that you understand those things. So that presentation layer deals with presenting the data in a proper human understandable format. And last but not the least is the application layer. This layer basically is dealing with the applications that are network accessible. Now, every application may not be network accessible. Every application on your computer may not access the internet. But nowadays, more or less, uh, every application has in one way or the other to access the internet, like for example, the updates and all other stuff. So obviously, uh, I can obviously say that the different types of applications that you have in your computer may, in some way or the other, access the internet or access the network. Now, application layer obviously deals with the or has the applications that access the internet or the network. For example, the simplest example could be your web browser, Google Chrome or Firefox. All right. So that's it about the OSI model. Now I will be discussing about the TCP IP model in some later video. That is not very important. If you understand the OSI model, which is very important for you, then TCP IP model is not very important for you guys. And TCP IP model doesn't play a big role, although everything is based on it. It actually came from the OSI model. It is just a shortened version of the OSI model. As I said, it has 4 layers. So you can learn the TCP IP model if I think that it is necessary for you guys to it is necessary to show it to you guys, then I'll be presenting that in a later video. But for the time being, TCP IP model is not very important. OSI model is the most important thing. Whenever you will learn CCNA or any other networking course, OSI model is the first thing that will be taught to you. I actually brought this video 3 videos later, but this video was supposed to be brought in for the first. Well, this video should have been the first video, but I actually made you, I actually familiarized you all with the devices that reside in a network and how they communicate with each other, so that when I bring you the OSI model, things will become very easy. Most people might not know what is a router, or may not know how a router functions, may not know what is a switch, because you don't see switches, all right? As I said in my previous video, that switches aren't that common nowadays. The router has all the functionalities built into it: switch, router, then modem, etc. So many functionalities built into one gadget. So that's it about the OSI model. Now this is a new channel. As usual, I have mentioned about this factor in the previous video. This is a new channel. If you found value from this video, then obviously subscribe to the channel, and obviously share the video with people who you think might learn something or are searching for something similar. And this is Dhuvajyoti signing off, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.